How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about R.L. Stine's Stuff of Nightmares. Really going to the comic book shop and seeing both Creepshow and an R.L. Stine book on the shelves. A good week for being a horror fan. But yeah, R.L. Stine, I never read him too much when I was a kid, and I've been trying to, I think I should get into his stuff, because he's a really good writer, you know. He always had that sense of, you know, humor and great, like, iconic creatures that really does really well for a horror author. But a lot of times with Stine's work, that you had these really great cover images. Despite, you know, writing in prose, we all have iconic images associated with Stine, so it really makes a ton of sense to do a comic. And when I saw this sitting there, I'm like, that looks really interesting. Stine as a comic, I don't know if I think he has that one tied to Disney Plus now, and I think there's comics tied to it, so there have been some R.L. Stine comics before, but with this one, we kind of get R.L. Stine's Reanimator, which is a really good concept, and you definitely have me in there for that. This is aimed at an older audience. It doesn't go insane, you know, there's nothing like a hard R, but this really isn't written for kids. You know, like I said, it's R.L. Stine's Reanimator. But Stine, you know, I find that he did something clever where he starts off writing for kids, and he still does that a lot, but he also knows that as time goes on, his audience has grown up too. So he did Goosebumps, and then after that, you know, you get Fear Street for kind of the little bit older crowd, and then he started writing full-on, you know, novels for adults. And I do like that he knows his audience is older, we can get away with a little bit more nowadays. And this book has, you know, a fair bit of gore and dark subject matter. There's basically what you get in this book is you get a little nondescript house by the beach where they're collecting body parts and trying to build Frankenstein monsters. And you get this reporter that hears the howling and decides to investigate, and it leads to a bloody mess, to say the least. I won't spoil it. But yeah, I really did like, you got a really cool creature, Frankie. You got a mad scientist, and you got these two people that aren't near as evil as him that he's kind of dragging along. So yeah, it is fun to see R.L. Stine's version of Reanimator, but, you know, I don't know where this story is going to, and I mean that in a good way. It could be going off in any number of directions, and it really takes an unexpected turn about halfway in where you're like, okay, well, all bets are off the table now. Another thing, too, I should have mentioned this earlier. This one is actually one of those books with a horror host, implying that they'll change and do different stories when a story's finished. And the horror host is really cool. It's the Nightmare Keeper, and he has a little collection, a museum full of haunted objects and the stories that go with them. And he's really cool. He'll hold them up and he'll be like, these are my treasures, you know, and he'll tell you the story. And I do kind of wonder, this is chapter 1, so after this issue, the story does continue. I'm wondering if this is, how many issues are going to be in this set, you know? Is this going to be a full 6-issue run, or are we going to change up a little more frequently? I really wish we knew. I really wish comics would be better about saying chapter 1 of, you know? But that being said, I don't know how long this story is going to go on for, but this will eventually be anthology, so we will switch to another story, and I am curious, you know, how often we'll switch, what the other stories will be like. I don't know, but as it stands with chapter 1, I thought it was pretty cool, and I do want to know where this is going, so definitely would say check this out. If you guys want to see this book in a little bit more detail, take a look at the story, take a look at the art. I'm going to switch to the close-up camera. We can take a closer look, but I won't be spoiling it. I won't be covering the end bits, which sadly does mean cutting out a fair bit of that bloody, gory ending, but no major spoilers. Anyway, if you want to see more, I'm going to go ahead and switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle taking a closer look at Stuff of Nightmares #1. Let's bring it close to the camera. We get this nice kind of wavy logo, and we see the credits up here. They list R.L. Stine. I kind of wish that they made his name bigger. You think, okay, this is R.L. Stine. You put his name like really huge across the top, and I just happened to notice that this was Stine just because I look at each new horror book a little bit. Even if I don't pick them up, I try to see what's out there. I'm like, wait a minute, is that R.L. Stine? But anyway, #1, and then the Boom Studios logo. And we look at this cover, and it's a really good, kind of gives you the tone. We can tell from this initial cover that it is made, not for kids, because we get a bunch of these zombie ghoul creatures. And look at this one in the corner. It's got a big old stitch in his head, and it looks like it's missing its lower jaw, and it's drooling. But yeah, the zombies are eating this guy up, and we get a mysterious figure with glasses looming down below in this like almost fiery archway. A really cool cover and a really nice striking red and green and yellow there, So I really do like this one. And if we flip it to the back, we actually get a sort of a second art piece. We get Stuff of Nightmares, and then this hand, and the hand is actually the thing from the museum that we're taking a look at this time. And then there's the $4.99, so it's a little bit more expensive, but that's fine. And we get 1/1 because this is the main cover there. Anyway, if we crack open the book, we get to see created and written by R.L. Stine, Stuff of Nightmares, The Monster Makers, Part 1. So I don't know how long. I really wish it said Part 1 of, and then how many issues. It definitely it ends on where there's going to be more of this story. It's definitely a to be continued, but I don't know if they're going to be every 2 issues that we change, every 6 issues that we change. I don't know, and I really wish that they would tell us how long plot arcs are, but they don't do that nowadays. Anyway, illustrated by A.L. Kaplan. And there's the rest of the credits there, and a nice creepy skull with 3 eyeball spots. But anyway, after that, we get into the story, and I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit of a look at the story. I won't be doing any major spoilers. I'll just cover the setup without getting into the ending, and I do want to say that this means avoiding the big, great, bloody ending, so I do want to say that there is a really big, more horrific part that comes after this, but I'm not going to spoil that for you. Just, for you horror geeks, know that that is coming. But anyway, we open up with this guy, and it's a cool shot of him with all these little trinkets, and he's like, this used to be a cabinet of curiosities, but now it's much bigger, and it's a museum, and it's like, my name, don't bother with it, just call me the Nightmare Keeper. So kind of like the Crypt Keeper, but nightmares. And this guy is pretty cool. They keep him in the shadows. You can see he's got like red glasses and these eyes on his collar, so you can't see his real eyes, but you see these jeweled eyes. And he's got a bunch of fun little stuff here. And I really like how he says everything is precious, and he knows all of his treasures and all their little stories. And I really do like, his sort of attitude of loving all of his little pieces. But anyway, after that, he shows you this treasure and the story tied to it, and he says that this is the hand of William H. Stewart, Secretary of the United States under Abraham Lincoln, and then he tells a story tied to this. Now, the story's set in modern day, so I don't really know how Stewart's hand ties to this. Maybe it's just something that it reminds him of, so I'm not really sure exactly what the relationship is between this hand and the story, but we have more issues to go, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, our first object is the hand of Stewart. Anyway, we get a fun little opening where we get this house, and you really get to see, R.L. Stine worked primarily in prose writing, so in turn, these little setup bits of I guess it's the Nightmare Keeper talking to us, we get like this panel here. The house squats low like an animal in hiding. A casual visitor might not approve of the work that goes on inside. And you get this house there with the truck in front of it. And this delivery guy goes inside the house because the package is marked perishable. And he sees something frightening. And of course, that's going to be the first guy on the kill count. He's going to go, no, and the door will slam behind him. Later on, we get this woman coming to the door, making a special secret delivery, and we get the blonde brother going, did anyone see you? Were you followed? And the other brother is much more down to business. He's like, show it to me. Do you have it? And she's sort of the person, their like head smuggler, and she had a contact in the hospital that was able to get this, and it's only less than an hour old, and it is a group of intestines. But then you read, she's talking a little bit about how she got this, and a friend at the hospital, the surgeon, that's all my friend could remove without his patient getting suspicious. Oh man, there's so much to unpack in that one line of dialogue there. It's something I read that and my brain just went, wait a minute. That's all my friend could remove without his patient getting suspicious. So she has the friend who's a surgeon, and he's literally taken this out of someone who went under for surgery without them knowing. So that when you went under for surgery, the doctor just removed a bunch of your intestine, sewed you back together, and you get up without ever knowing it? Oh, that's... that's really freaky, man. Anyway, after that, we cut to this reporter character and her boyfriend, and the boyfriend's like, oh, have a good night with me, don't worry about this stuff, and you get all this stuff where he's talking about how print media, or she's talking about how print media is dying, and she likes the newspapers and she likes the print stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, but everybody just gets that on their phone, and she's talking about how there's a bunch of coyotes and there's the missing delivery boy, and she's trying to work on these stories when they hear a mysterious screaming. What is that? Is it even human? And she runs off to the building to check out what made all that noise. And I do like, when we catch back up with the mad scientist characters, you get these two, which I don't think it ever says, but I assume that these two are dating. And, they're the more normal ones. It looks like they're watching TV. And then he's just back there on his book. If this was Reanimator, he's definitely the Jeffrey Combs-esque character. But anyway, they get a knock on the door, and he tries to brush it off. Oh, it's just the TV, my brother's hard of hearing. And there's a curtained off area. What's back there? Well, it seems like they've almost got the reporter to go away when the cry happens one more time. And I think this is where I'll leave you, because I don't want to spoil any major plot element, but we can go ahead and show you little baby Frankie sticks his head out from behind the curtain at an inopportune time. So he goes, help me, help me. And yeah, that is one thing, is they say they took the brain from someone that died in a horrible accident, and I guess all it can think to do now is just say, help me, over and over again, because that's where its brain is stuck. But yeah, what do you do now that they saw your little Franken baby? So yeah, Frankie, like Frankenstein, you know? But anyway, they got a lab full of horrible monstrosities, and we got a reporter character and her boyfriend that just happened to stumble across it. And again, I don't want to spoil all the crazy dark places this goes, but let's just say it does end in crazy, messed up, and bloody fashion, and it makes me curious, okay, where are we going for the next issue? And it is pretty fun. So yeah, I won't go any farther in the story than that. Just know there will be some blood, as you can guess from this quite gory cover. Anyway, definitely would recommend it. I am curious, how long these stories will go, how often will change up. Is it, how many issues, because it does seem to be some sort of anthology, but how often, but I really do like it, the idea of R.L. Stine doing essentially his version of Reanimator, and boy, I love the Reanimator crazy Frankenstein zombie monster maker genre, and it really is. It's not a kid's book, and I do like that, R.L. Stine pushed it further and gave us this good, crazy, gory mess. So overall, I had a ton of fun with it, and this is it's the same week that Creepshow the comic book came out, so R.L. Stine and Creepshow together in the same week, that's just great. Good week in comics for horror fans. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This will probably be my horror comics playlist. If you want to see me talk about other horror books, this is kind of a long playlist, so you should find something in there that you might be interested in. So anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Horror comics playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.